going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to the Sugar Shack. I spent the morning cleaning her out, knocked her all out good here. Washed it up. Just getting ready to put the propane in, connect it to the burner. Then we're going to put the pan on there and just put some water in it and boil it up good. Make sure the pan is good and clean, no residue left in it. Then we're going to go dump some sap in that pan and start boiling. So it's not far from the syrup now. Okay, this is my burner here. It's a 35,000 BTU just outside cast iron burner, and I have a 30-pound propane bottle here. So we'll light this first of all, see if it's even going to work. Alright, we'll set the pan on here, and then I have just water that we're going to put in. Just set enough water in that just to start the boil. And the other important thing about this little step is I'm going to measure the temperature at which the water starts to boil, because that's going to tell me when water boils, and then the sap boils at about 7 degrees Fahrenheit above what the water boils at. So I'm going to turn up this burner and let this start to heat up. I'm going to go gear up my digital thermometer, and we can monitor this and see what temperature it boils at. Okay, so what I have for a thermometer is I have my digital multimeter with a thermocouple. Thermocouple is just, it's a calibrated two different dissimilar types of metal that when connected together produce a voltage, and that voltage is measured by the meter, and then the meter is set up here to convert it directly into degrees. So if you can see that, that's reading 35 degrees Fahrenheit right now. So that's what it is outside, present temperature 35 degrees. So when I place the thermocouple in the water, you'll notice here on the tip of the thermocouple, or where I have the thermocouple, it's placed a little bit back from the tip of the pointer. That's so that the thermocouple won't get a false reading by just resting on the bottom of the pan and showing, you know, maybe the temperature of the flame or the temperature of the bottom of the pan instead of the temperature of the actual liquid in the pan. So I have that set back from the bottom of the pointer, so I get a better reading. So then I just hang that in the pot. Alright, look at that. I've got a pretty good boil going here in the water, so I'm happy with that. I'm only reading 190 degrees Fahrenheit. In water, of course, we know boils around 212, but that depends on your elevation above sea level, humidity, air pressure, a lot of different things. So I've been boiling here now for about 5 minutes, and all I can get is 190, 191. So that's 22 degrees less than what you would expect it to boil at. I don't know, I think there's something wrong maybe with my thermocouple. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's what happens when you're trying to do sap and syrup. Sometimes things just don't go according to oil. The other way I monitor to make sure my sap has turned to syrup is I monitor how much I put in the pan. The ratio is 40:1. So that's if you have good sugar content. And I don't think I have any sugar maples tapped here in the yard. So I just have regular, we call them rock maples. So I'm not, the sugar content is not great in it. I'm not sure what the sugar content is, but it's not as high as what a sugar maple would be. So I'll monitor how much sap I put in this pan, and when I get to 40 liters of sap put in the pan, and by that time maybe the level of the pan, as it's boiling off continuously, the level of the pan may be down to like 2 liters. So then what I'll do is I'll drain and filter what's left in the pan, that 2 liters. I'll put it in what I call a finishing pan, put that back on the burner, and then I'll start to boil in the finishing pan until I get about 1 liter, or it would probably be less than 1 liter, but that's when I'll just go by look and you know, how it behaves when it's boiling, things like that, to call it and say that's my syrup now. So, you know, there's different ways you can do it. There's also a method you can use where you measure the specific gravity of the syrup, and there's a bricks gauge that you can get, and it's supposed to be a certain reading on bricks, but because of my little setup here in the small pan, it's hard to get enough syrup actually to measure any of those readings, so I don't do that. I just go by when I get like about 1 liter of what would be syrup then in the pan, then I monitor that closely just to see how it's behaving, and then I say, alright, now I've got syrup, and I shut everything down, drain and filter that and bottle it, and you know, wait for it to cool and have it for breakfast. One of the things I try to avoid is I don't want to, when I add sap to the pan, I don't want to ever kill the boil that's going on in the pan. So a lot of big evaporators, like say a professional one, or even, you know, a halfway serious backyard one, they'll have what's called a preheater pan. And the preheater pan heats the sap a little bit so that when it's introduced to the boiling pan, it doesn't kill the boil. I don't have a setup where I can have a preheater pan, so what I've come up with is this little bucket right here, and this bucket will hold 8 liters of liquid, and I have a little tube coming out the side of it here, and then I set that up so that it'll drip into my pan above the burner. My idea behind this is I'll fill this with sap, and as the heat from this burner is naturally rising, it'll come up and warm the sap somewhat. It's not the best solution, but it is a little bit of a preheater. And also I mentioned how I monitor how much sap I put in my pan. Well, this bucket here will hold 8 liters, so I'm just going to put some sap in that now. And we stop at 8 liters. So I'm going to put my pan back on the burner. So then with the remainder of this, that's about 3 liters. I'll put that in the pan directly. And now this isn't like an exact precise measurement, but it's close enough. Okay, then we'll turn the heat up. Sap in the pan. I started with, I'm going to say 3 liters in the pan, and I've got 8 liters here in my, what I'm calling my preheater pot. I'll just continue to monitor how much sap I put in the pan as it boils off, and when I get around 40, then we'll change over and start calling it syrup. So I guess what I have to do now is go collect some more sap. So that was a good haul, 12 liters of sap there. These trees are running good here right around the yard. I put those taps out, or I checked these buckets, emptied them yesterday. So each one gave over 4 liters in 24 hours, not bad. Alright, to start with, there's 4 jugs on the table there of 4 liters each, so that's 16 liters. And then up here on my shelf, I've got 4 more jugs up here with 4 liters each. So I got 32 liters of sap just today. So not bad. When I need 40 liters to boil, I should have plenty to boil here. So that's great. And I got this sap. This is not all one day's run. This is probably a combination of 2 days of run, maybe 3. Alright, lots of sap. Let's make some syrup. So another aid I have to help me doing my sap is I have this measuring stick. And it's made out of metal. And there's 2 notches. You see there's a notch right there. And there's a notch right there. This means there's 4 liters of sap in the pan. This means there's 8 liters. I like to try to maintain it at least 4. Don't like to get below 4, and I don't want to go above 8. So somewhere between those 2 is where I like to maintain it. So let's just measure and see. It's kind of hard to see, but so right now it's just about, it's right on the bottom mark. So that's telling me there's 4 liters of sap in the pan. And I have my drip, if you can see that drip coming down here. I have that drip running pretty well wide open. And when I look in my little pre-warmer pot here, I boiled off 4 liters of sap already, and it's been about an hour since I started boiling. So I can boil approximately 4 liters of sap an hour with this setup. So that means in order to boil 40 liters of sap, well, you do the math. I think that comes out to about 10 hours. So I like to boil more than that, but I mean that's all the burner will do, so that's what I do. So now my preheater pot is back up to 8 liters, and this drip is coming in there about as, well, probably faster than what I'm boiling off, but I'll maintain that and try to adjust this drip so that I add to the pan as much as I'm boiling off. And then, other than that, it's just sit here and watch it boil. Pretty interesting. but it's good fun. Okay, you see when this is boiling here, just talk about this real bit. The foam builds up on it. That's natural. That's a natural byproduct of boiling. The foam, what happens to the foam, it tends to move sometimes to the sides of the pan, and then it'll scorch on the side of the pan. Makes the pan hard to clean. It's got nothing to do with the quality of your syrup or the sap or anything like that. That's just what happens. So what I have here is I've got a stainless steel screener sieve, and every once in a while I'll just reach in and go around here and just collect that foam, throw it out the door. I don't collect it all, but I collect some of it. And the main reason I do that is just so that I can see the sap better, and to help keep my pan a little cleaner too, because I don't want my pan to get right dirty, because it takes way too long to clean it. So I see I'm getting more than 4 liters in here, so I'm thinking my drip rate is too high here. So I'm going to slow this down. Yeah, it's slowed down considerable. We'll just keep an eye on that. Isn't this fun? If you had a big wood-fired evaporator, boiling sap would be a lot of entertainment, a lot more than what this is, because you're constantly feeding the fire. You can't let your fire die down. You have to keep a roar so that the sap keeps boiling. But here, I just set the propane and let it go, and I just have to watch about every hour or so, fill up my preheater with another 4 liters of sap, and then in about 10 hours, I'm finished. But anyway, so I'll come back later when we're a lot closer to being finished. Alright, it's the next day now, and I just finished adding the last of my sap in there, so I've total probably 43 liters of sap, and right now in my pan there's a little bit more than 2 liters. There might be 3 liters in the pan, and there's about 7 liters, so I've got 10 liters of sap left to boil down, basically is what I'm trying to say here. So we're getting close to finishing it off. So as soon as I get rid of this 7 liters that's in my little preheater pot, and when this pan gets down to 2 liters, then I'll switch it over to my finishing pan and we can start to finish it off. So I didn't finish boiling last night. It was getting late, coming on to supper time, and I was getting hungry. So I shut her off. And you know what? That's another advantage I find of boiling with a propane burner like this. I can just turn the heat off just as instantly as that, and just let the sap cool down in the pan and just leave it, and it'll be alright, and start it up the next morning like I did this morning and have a go at it. So I come out here just after dinner today around 12:30, and it's probably 4:30ish now. So 4 hours more burning here yesterday, or today I mean, and I had 4 hours of boiling yesterday. So I'm just about ready to finish off my batch. Alright, I just put the last of the sap in the pan. So what I have left in there now is just about 3, if my measuring stick is right, between 3 and 4 liters of sap. So when that gets down to 2 liters in this pan, then I'll pour it through a filter into a finishing pan, and then I'll boil off the last 2 liters in the finishing pan down to a syrup. So it's boiling down pretty good. It's pretty light, eh? I'm surprised at how light it is. It usually gets darker, but it seems like the first sap of the season, it's a lighter syrup, and on the commercial market, lighter syrup brings in a better price than the dark syrup. Although I tend to like dark syrup, I just like the look of it. The taste of it is about the same. But you notice here on my thermometer, it's measuring now between 218, 219, 220. So we're getting pretty close, but it's a long ways to go before that turns into syrup. So we're just going to monitor that and watch it. We're getting down here 2 liters in our pan, so I'm going to set up the filter to get ready to transfer from this boiling pan into the finishing pan. Okay, so what I have here is just a felt filter set up in this little arrangement that I made here. So now I'm going to turn my heat down and put the old gloves on. You won't see much because of the steam. It smells like syrup. Managed to get a little on the floor. That's about normal though. So we just let that drip a little bit. Try to get as much as I can. This is where you lose a lot of your syrup, I find, when you're going through this filter, because the filter holds back the syrup. And you don't want to squeeze the syrup out of there for a couple of reasons. One, it's really, really hot, it'll burn you. And the other is, the filter is meant to catch the impurities, so if you squeeze it, you'll squeeze the impurities out. So you don't want to do that. And then we'll turn the heat back up. So now we're going to start monitoring the temperature again. It's back to 209 already. Another indicator you can use if your sap is ready as syrup is if it sheets. Like you get a spoonful and when you pour it, if it sheets coming off the spoon, that means the thickness is good. But if you can see that, that's just pouring off there just like water. Well, I don't think it's going to be much longer now. You can tell too when it starts to get close to syrup, because there'll be foam form up on the pan and it'll start boiling up and almost boil over if you're not careful. You have to tend to that pretty close. Also, it's at 220 degrees right now, which is 8 degrees above what water would normally boil at. So it's almost there, but not quite. And you can find that when you're boiling at this point, it can go a long time at 220, because it's just boiling off the last little bit of water that's in there. So this is when you have to really pay attention and watch it close. Now, the other thing I was saying, like I'm boiling down about, I think I got 43 liters total of sap. So when I get down to about a liter, I know that I'm getting really, really close. And in this pan, the bottom rivets on the handle, when the sap gets down to the bottom of those, that's about a liter left in this finishing pan. So it's starting to foam up pretty good. That's a good sign that we're almost there. The temp is 221, 222, 223. I'm thinking this is it. You see there when I tip it off the spoon? I don't know how good you can see that, but it is kind of sheeting as it comes off the spoon. So, you know, I don't have any really scientific way to say I'm done, but I'm going to say I'm done. Wish me luck on the pour. This is what I was afraid was going to happen. So there's one bottle. Well, I made an awful mess on the floor, but I got her poured. What do you think? Looks like maple syrup, eh? When I bottle it, that's the worst time for me, is bottling it. I always make a mess. As you see, this is quite a mess. So, clean that up. Got a liter of syrup. That's not bad, eh? Put those down because they're hot. Whew. That's not bad, because I figured I put 43 liters of sap in the pans and I got a liter of syrup out. Now that syrup might be a little runny. We'll see once it cools down. I'm thinking it might be on the runny side because I have so much syrup from only 43 liters of sap, right? But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I sure hope you enjoyed this little video here about making maple syrup. Might have been a little bit on the long side, but it was worth the wait for me. Don't forget, folks, thumbs on me. If you have any questions at all about doing sap, don't hesitate to ask in the comments. I'm no expert, that's for sure, but I've been doing sap for quite a while, and be able to maybe give you some tips or hints or you know, suggestions. Just saying, just putting that out there. Take care, stay safe, enjoy your breakfast with maple syrup, and we'll talk to you. Well, we're going to try the syrup here for breakfast. This is Monday morning now. So we made this syrup yesterday. It looks a little runny. I think maybe I didn't boil it long enough. I thought I boiled it too long, but that's the thing about syrup, you never know. So Nanny made some banana loaf. Is that what this is, Nanny?
Zucchini.
Zucchini loaf, sorry. Nanny made some zucchini loaf here, so I like to just put maple syrup on most everything I can get. So I put a little, oh yeah, it's a bit on the runny side. So let's see what it tastes like with this zucchini loaf. Oh yeah. Want some? Nanny even made some apple crunch today and put maple syrup on it, and that was some good. There's just one piece left, so I'll have that maybe later on.